everybody! How are you? Welcome back. Bem-vindos a mais vídeo no nosso canal. So today I wanted to, for the first time, give you guys some pronunciation tips, okay? I do have several videos on my Patreon page on pronunciation, so feel free to check out patreon.com/Learn European Portuguese online. This one, I wanted specifically also to share it not only on my Patreon, but on my YouTube. So you guys can practice them, because this one is really, really important. And I feel like a lot of my students, especially the beginners, struggle a lot with this pronunciation. And I have a tip that I give my students and patrons that works really well, okay? I have to say that usually when I teach this to my students, they never do this mistake again. So I really wanted to share these tips with my subscribers as a special treat, okay? If you want more pronunciation tips, feel free to check out my Patreon. So let's start with verbs, okay? Let's start with verbs. So I wanted to talk about what's the difference in pronunciation between PPS, so the pretérito perfeito simples, versus the future tense, okay? They're very similar, and usually when students learn the future tense, they struggle a lot with the pronunciation, okay? And even though usually students learn the PPS before, some of my students are not sure where they need to stress the syllables, okay? So let's go through them with practical cases. Feel free to follow along the subtitles, okay, to help you out. So let's start with the verb to eat. The verb to eat is comer. Comer. So in the third person, and I wanted to focus mostly on the third person plural, okay? So third person plural of the verb comer is comeram. Okay, so even though it has that nasal sound at the end, the sound that is written with an am, it is not the syllable you're going to stress. So that's the tricky part with am words, okay? Because most of my students tend to stress that syllable because it has that sound. But we're stressing the syllable before the last. So that's why we say comeram. Okay, comeram. Versus the future tense. So the future tense, it's written with a AO and a tilde. So that means you're going to stress the last syllable. Whenever you see a word with a tilde on it, it's telling you you're going to stress that syllable. So for future tense, to say they will eat, comerão. Comerão. So comeram, comerão. It's written basically the same way, right? So am ending, AO ending, but you're stressing a different syllable. So it is a total different word with a total different meaning. So that's very important. If you're saying a sentence, it can be the difference between saying I'm going to eat versus I ate. So it's very important. Okay, so let me give you an example. O João e a Rita comeram sopa para o jantar. Okay, so here I'm saying they ate soup for dinner. Versus, o João e a Rita comerão sopa para o jantar. They will eat soup for dinner. Okay, so that is a big difference. So make sure to practice the comerão versus the comerão. Another hint is we tend for the future tense to say it much faster. Okay, since you're emphasizing so much the at the end, you say comerão. Okay, so if it helps, try to say the future tense a little faster. Okay, let's practice with two more verbs. Okay, so we have the verb to work, which is trabalhar. So we have in the past tense, trabalharam, trabalharam, versus in the future, trabalharão. What a difference, right? Trabalharam, trabalharão. You're going to see that also in this case, we also have a difference, of course, also in the vowel. That's going to help you. You're stressing the A in trabalharam. So we have an open A versus in trabalharão. We don't have that open A anymore, so it tends to blend a little more with all the other syllables, and you stress that rão at the end. Okay, that rolling R again. Now let's practice with partir, okay? Partir is a verb to depart, to leave, or to break, right? So we would say partiram. Okay, so let's say you want to say a sentence, for example, eles partiram ontem para Nova York. Eles partiram ontem para Nova York. Versus, okay, of course you're not going to use the yesterday anymore, but you could say eles partirão para Nova York amanhã. They will depart to New York tomorrow. So partiram, partirão. Tricky, huh? Okay, so practice with verbs that you think are more relevant for you. Of course, this is also all about relevancy. So think of what's relevant for you. Verbs that you would use most, okay? And practice this different stress in words, okay? And I know that sometimes we don't practice or don't use so much the future tense in Portuguese. We kind of cheat. Almost like in English, we tend to say, I'm going to do something. So we have that same structure in Portuguese that you can say, eu vou comer, eu vou trabalhar, eu vou partir. It's so much easier than using all those uns at the end. But once you're, a B1 level, a C1 level, and you want to show that you're more fluent in Portuguese, maybe in a more formal setting, you can use the future tense, okay? And the more you read in Portuguese and certain literature or articles, you're going to see that it's very common to see future tense. So at least you'll know how to pronounce it, okay? And not mix both tenses so much. Okay, so the second tip that I wanted to give is regarding present tense. This one is very, very important. And I give this tip to all my students actually, and it makes a big difference, okay? So let me know how it works for you. So let's say the verb vir. Eu venho, right? Tu vens, ele vem. So that's the third person. So vem is very nasal, right? That ein sound that I usually give my students the tip, the English speakers that think of the Heinz ketchup, okay? Remove the NZ from Heinz and you have that ein sound. Okay, so that's what we're going to use when we see a EM, okay? So vem, singular, they come becomes vêm. You literally double the sound of that ein, okay? So think of it as a math problem, right? So it's vem plus ein equals vêm. That's how I usually teach my students, and it works great, okay? Vêm. The same would apply to the verb ter. Third person singular, tem. Plural, têm. Practice, okay? Two more verbs that are very similar, and this logic works really well. The verb ver. Verb ver is to see, right? So he sees, ele vê. They see. You're going to use the singular form vê, and you're going to add ein. Vêem. Okay? Eles vêem. The same applies to ler, to read. Ele lê, eles leem. And of course, I'm trying to really say it slower so you can hear the sounds, but you know how we Portuguese people love to speak, right? So, veem, leem, okay? Try to say it as fast as you can and blend those sounds together because that's how we definitely say them. Okay, and then we have the verb pôr. The verb pôr is to put, or also used to set the table, okay? So we have, in the singular form, he puts, ele põe. For plural, we're going to have põe plus em, põem. Okay, so I'll give you a sentence, for example. O João põe a mesa. Eles põem a mesa. Okay, So definitely a different sound, okay? So let me know what you thought of this video. Hopefully it was very helpful. Let me know if you struggle with any other verbs. Leave me a comment below. Feel free to check out my Patreon page. I'll leave also the link below. And don't forget to subscribe and have a great day. Adeus. Obrigada.